The tears of others have both wounded and fed me. In those beautiful moments where my body meets another, and a once distant inland sea laps at my shores and spills over with salt water, which runs into the crook of my neck and over my shoulders and on to my lips. Lincoln tells me that these vessels emerge from a love of Etruscan ceramics, particularly their depiction of their uninhibited, suggestive, or downright pornographic revels. The Etruscans were an ancient civilization in Middle Italy from around 900 BC to 27 BC. Their history is deeply politicized, and there are relatively few accounts of Etruscans recording their own history. Instead, we rely on Greek and Roman accounts to fill the blanks, which often cast the Etruscans as politically convenient precursors, used to legitimize various stories the Greeks and the Romans tell about themselves. Indeed, Etruscology itself might be considered the study of the manipulation of a people's history for political advantage and ideological ends, suggesting that much of Etruscan history may, in fact, serve as proxy for Greek and Roman histories by another name.
So I've called this work Fontana, which has some funny historical references, but I kept trying to come up with a really clever poetic name for it, and I was just calling it the Fountain, so it made sense just to call it the Fountain. So my name's Lincoln Austin. I'm an artist of Cornish, Scottish and Irish descent, and I'm currently living in the British colony of Australia on the unceded lands of the Yuggera, Juggera and Ogurul peoples. And so I've come here for a month to explore an idea that I had, not really knowing what I was doing, and that's what I've done. And so I really want to thank the British Scholl for this opportunity. I should thank my local council who provided me with some of the funds to be here, and all the beautiful people that I've met while I'm here who supported me and entertained me, and my beautiful mother who's also arrived today, and I've exhausted her already. Yeah, so I came here to explore new creative territory and a new material in a new way. I wasn't quite sure how this would come about. My inspiration and my focus was the Villa Giulia and the Etruscan objects in the Villa Giulia. And I'm interested in that culture, that it's kind of, the Latins extracted what they wanted out of it and then kind of silenced the rest of it, because it was quite a permissive culture. There's all kinds of various and spurious gossip around the Etruscans and who they were and what they got up to, and that changes all the time with new discoveries and new academic research. And I can sense parallels in that between queer culture as well, this idea that people will extract the bits they want and then forget the bits they want done. And this idea of cultural erasure and erasure of memory over time by the status quo. So that's basically where this has come from. And also playing around with the eroticism that's really prevalent in Etruscan objects, and the idea of the body, which has kind of entered into my practice in the last 3 or 4 years. I guess I always stepped away from my practice, like here's the object I'll just hide over here, and I found, I guess the body is sort of the last kind of territory to be explored, or the current territory for me to be explored in my practice. So I've made a ridiculous outfit out of the disposable skirts that women have to wear when they visit churches in Rome. So technically I can go into church because my shoulders are covered and my knees are covered. So I haven't tried that out, but maybe tomorrow. Okay, so that's the project. I thought the first thing we should do is have some wine.
The relative lack of Etruscan accounts of their own lives leaves vast absences in the archive, with much to be speculated. Recent critical analyses of Etruscan attitudes towards gender have revealed there might have been surprising differences with the later Greeks and Romans, particularly in their more progressive attitudes to gender equality and androgyny. It's not such a vast leap to see a relationship between the erasure of Etruscan attitudes towards gender and more recent erasures of queerness within closer histories. It calls to mind this period of queer revisionism in which we stare into the rippled mirror of history in search of our precursors and ourselves.
The easiest way to do that is to drink out of the eyeballs, because otherwise you'll make a horrible mess of yourself. I'll begin that process by drinking out of the cup of juice and making a horrible mess of myself. In true Bacchus style. Yeah, so if you want to throw your cups and smash them, if you want to keep them, that's fine. If you want to put them back into the fountain, once we get the fountain going, that's great too. It's seasoned with linseed oil, and then I found this book, like literally in the cupboard, found a wax tar black. Played around with just filling unfired ceramic in my studio just to see what happens. But it is going well for me. How's it going?
Yeah, she's stopped eating.
Well, you've got no baby there to feed.
We need some breast pads.
I don't know if I've got enough water to get this thing.
Is it supposed to be coming out the end of the appendage there as well? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Lincoln's Fountain is a monument to these Etruscan absences in the archive, but also a consideration of what other absences might be underway. With this in mind, I attended the performance of the fountain to witness its first and last operation. As unfired clay, it's susceptible to moisture and will bear its function of a fountain only for a short time. I think I was expecting a solemn ritual, but was met instead with an intimate spectacle, laced with tentative uncertainty. We gather around the leaking fountain, softly chatting and watching the water wear courses in the carefully honed clay. The breasts, penises, and lips of the fountain carry the water from one to another, viscerally evoking bodily fluids and their passage between different orifices and organs.
Coming back after 9 years of absence has been really interesting for me to re-examine my practice and see where I've come and what I've done over that time as well. In a really beautiful way. It's affirmed where I am and what I'm doing.
The fountain holds the crude and the intellectual together in a willful dismissal of the boundaries we maintain within ourselves. I recall a lurid impulse to jeer at these things, but it's accompanied by a desire to touch these profane forms and their waxy smooth surfaces. The chaotically tangled and the lovingly burnished shapes capture this double desire so effectively that I find myself acutely aware of my body and gaze in relation to the genitalia and the soft blue-grey forms.
Bravo, molto bello, molto originale. Very original, bravo.
Actually, really nice.
Molto figo.
It's a pet. Clay is amazing stuff. I've just started to, or maybe 6 years ago, I reconnected with it as a material. I tried in my 20s and just found it really frustrating. It just went everywhere. Like, where do you stop? But
What's the egress of this one, out the belly button?
I think, no, she has a vagina, but it has to fill right up or get her going. Or technically not her. So I've also embraced non-binary gender identity. So when I first started, I have been making these little cups with genitals to begin that, to kind of have a conversation around. It's not a girl cup; it's a cup with a vulva, right? So and it's not a boy cup; it's a cup with a finger. Technically, it has no gender.
Like my cat. Kids just
Excellent.
had to have that.
Video, please.
He just had to have that surgery. Now he's learning how to use it.
And when do you stop being this or that? You know, who decides what these parameters are? Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you got that. I need that footage really badly.
Oh, no.
And this is the reality. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, this I'm sad about.
I'll fix that, and I was planning to gift that to the DSR.
Yeah, I was hoping you would.
So I can actually fix that, and it'll be a gift for you. Yeah.
Good.
Perfect, yeah, bravo, veramente.
That was beautiful.
As the forms weep water, I can't help but think of Jesus' first miracle, the turning of water to wine. I think of the beautiful Baroque variations of wine to blood, blood from stone, and the weeping of statues as fated or furtive miracles. Unlike the devout modesty of religious statues, this fountain holds the sacred and the profane in a vibrating intensity, able to be broken down and reformed. The unfired clay is shaped by the very water it contains and expresses, and the water slowly carves channels through clay, punctuated by dull, earthy cracks as a vessel or a limb gives way and splashes into the gathering water below. I watch the mouths dribble water and slowly open as the channels between their lips are worn wider. I'm reminded that the way that we use our bodies changes our bodies, and there is something quite significant in that notion for those of us who have been told in some time or place that we are unnatural. We are invited to drink red wine from the earthen cups shaped into little bodies, which adopt a taste of silt and sediment. Even the rigid notion of a vessel is quietly upset as my wine mixes with the blue-grey earth in a slow contest of which will disappear first. I wonder if the wine was transparent, could I use the silt to divine the future, like tea leaves? As the fountain deconstructs itself in dramatic fits and bursts, I imagine it collapsing completely into the earth beneath it, as a simple configuration of dirt and water. Dirt and water which has been asked to bear the weight of history and politics, lovingly arranged and lovingly released.